All right, the NFL 2024 season is set to begin. We've got the schedule release. We want to look at 20 games to mark your calendars and be on the lookout for. Looking forward to these games to start the season. And the kickoff special for this year, the Thursday night special, is the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. Tradition, the Super Bowl champion host on Thursday night. We think this is a great matchup. We were kind of hoping it would be the Texans, being Texans fans, but taking that bias away, we think the Ravens were the best team in the AFC last year. We know they lost, but if you go back and watch the AFC Championship game, they committed 3 turnovers. 2 of them that were critical. One a fumble right at the goal line that was really a backbreaker. We do think that the Ravens are better, but we're not sure playing at Arrowhead. We've learned not to go against the Chiefs, so we're not going to make a prediction now. We think it should be a great game. Colts at the Packers. We're really interested to see what these 2 young quarterbacks can do. Anthony Richardson needs to have a full season. He impressed early in last season, but got injured before he could really show what he could do. We like what Jordan Love did at the end of 2023. We think he's poised for another good season, so we think this will be a great matchup in Lambeau. Buccaneers at the Lions in a playoff rematch. Here are 2 teams that in 2023 exceeded all expectations. The Buccaneers came out of nowhere to win the NFC South and won a playoff game against the Eagles and then almost beat the Lions. And of course the Lions just getting that close to Super Bowl. We thought Dan Campbell did a great job up until that final game. The Chiefs get another early test as they host the Burrow-led Cincinnati Bengals, which should be a great AFC matchup. If you look at recent history, the Bengals have been the only team to really challenge the Chiefs and show they can hang with them in the playoffs. Curious to see what Burrow can do and if he's back 100% healthy. If so, this should be a great game. The Bears at the Texans, and what could be the matchup of the 2024 Offensive Rookie of the Year against the 2023, as Caleb Williams faces C.J. Stroud. Should be an exciting game. We think the Bears are going to challenge for a wild card, but likely end up just short. They're going to definitely improve on last year's record. We think the Texans have to be the favorite in the AFC South. Bills at the Texans in a marquee quarterback matchup. Josh Allen travels to face C.J. Stroud. We love this matchup. We have to think Josh Allen's going to be motivated, having lost Stephon Diggs to the rival Texans. We think this definitely could be a playoff preview, as the Bills have to be one of the favorites in the AFC East. And as we stated, we think the Texans are the clear favorites in the AFC South. Can't do much better than a Super Bowl rematch as the Chiefs go into the Bay Area to face the 49ers. Curious to see what happens. Can the 49ers bounce back? We truly believe they should have won the Super Bowl, but you know how it works with Mahomes and all that magic. So this game is really one to put on the calendar. Cowboys at the 49ers. We really want to see this as a rivalry, but it's been very one-sided as the 49ers have dominated, especially in the playoffs. We think the Cowboys are set for a little bit of a bounce back, so we think this game is going to be more competitive. Last year's game was until the last little bit. We think the Cowboys are going to challenge a little better here. Cincinnati at Baltimore, Bengals and the Ravens in a great AFC North divisional matchup. Curious to see what Joe Burrow has coming back. You know how we feel about the Ravens. We still think they're the best team in the AFC. They just need to prove it in the playoffs. I think this game might, in fact, determine who wins the AFC North. Texans at the Cowboys in a battle for Texas. And as Texans fans, we'd love to tell you that they've got a huge advantage here. But really, the Cowboys were great at home last season, only losing once. And then, unfortunately for them, was the playoff game against Green Bay. But we think this is a super even matchup. We think had this game been in Houston, advantage Texans. But with the Cowboys being at home, we think this is going to come down to the wire. It should be very entertaining with Dak going against C.J. Stroud. 49ers at the Bills. To me, this is the greatest Super Bowl matchup that never happened, going back to those teams in the 90s. But are these teams similar? Can the Bills survive without Stephon Diggs? We're worried about Josh Allen and his interception percentage. Also worried about Brock Purdy and his inconsistency. So this game should be very entertaining in Orchard Park. Eagles at the Ravens. We think the Ravens are the class of the AFC, regardless of their AFC Championship game defeat. We think the Eagles are going to be better than they were at the end of last season with the addition of 2 strong cornerbacks and the fact that Jalen Hurts will be healthy. He was really hurt at the end of last season. We think this game will be awesome. NFC North divisional matchup. We have the Packers going to Detroit to face the Lions. We love the trajectory for both of these teams. We see them both as being playoff contenders. We think the Lions will ultimately take the division, but this game should probably decide it. Jordan Love played great at the end of the last season, and Lions have been really good since the second half of the 2022 season, just finishing just a little bit short of the Super Bowl last year. We think they're the best team in the NFC this season. Let us know what you think. It's a homecoming for Kirk Cousins since he returns to Minnesota now as a member of the Atlanta Falcons. I think this could be an interesting matchup because we think the Falcons are better, but the Vikings tend to play really, really well at home. We see the Falcons as challenging for the NFC South Division right there with the Bucs, and we think Kirk Cousins, if he plays like he did last year and stays healthy, could take the Falcons a long way. Texans at the Chiefs. Can C.J. Stroud repeat what he did as a rookie with more weapons, better defense? And we think going into Arrowhead is the ultimate challenge there against Mahomes and that crew. We think this game would have favored the Texans more being in Houston. We think this will be competitive. Ultimately, probably go to the Chiefs. 49ers go to South Florida to face off with the Dolphins. Interesting matchup here. You got Mike McDaniel, former offensive coordinator for the 49ers, now head coach of the Dolphins, facing his former team. He is running the same offense. See, we think that the Dolphins might have better skill position players. This game should be really interesting, but they also have an inability to beat the good teams. So let's see what happens here against the NFC champs. Jags at the Raiders. This may not seem as marquee as some of the other matchups. We look at these two teams kind of like what we said about the Rams and the Seahawks. We think one of these two teams will likely make the playoffs, not both. So this game could very much decide it. I think the Jaguars have division winning potential. Raiders don't because you have Chiefs in the way, but they definitely can qualify and contend for a wild card this year. Broncos at the Chargers. We really don't know what to expect from either of these two teams, so it's more of a curiosity to put this matchup on the list. We're curious to see what Bo Nix can do, and we're really interested to see what Jim Harbaugh can do as new coach of the Chargers. If we don't see either of these teams making the playoffs, we do see them improving and being contenders starting next season. Chiefs at the Steelers, and we all know how great the Chiefs are, but I'm really curious to see what the Steelers can do this season. This was a playoff team last season, albeit they kind of limped into the playoffs, but with very inconsistent quarterback play. Now you have Super Bowl champion Russell Wilson, who may not be as good as he was in the Seattle days, but should be an upgrade, plus what they did in the draft to bolster that offensive line. We like the Steelers this year. Seattle at the Rams in a great NFC West divisional matchup. We have this matchup on here because we think one of these two teams will make the playoffs in this game, and the series could likely determine who goes. We love what Stafford and that offense did last season. We question, are they due for a regression having lost Aaron Donald? So this game should be really interesting. Commanders at the Cowboys. So Washington is one of those teams we see might crack the NFC playoffs. We think that Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the draft. Apologies to Caleb Williams. We like their coaching additions. We think you have a defensive specialist head coach, Dan Quinn, to go along with Cliff Kingsbury, offensive specialist as your OC. Gives a lot of opportunities for that offense, and we love the speed on the Commanders. So look for this game to be very entertaining.
That's all for this time. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to sharing our future videos with you.